Well, welcome back to the program. Ilhan Omar, one of the members of the notorious squad in Congress. We were talking about her being potentially primaried yesterday, and she was in the primary. It was a narrow victory, though, for Ilhan Omar, basically securing her reelection bid to Minnesota's 5th congressional district. And she avoided, Kevin, the fate of her fellow squad members who lost their primaries, one just a few weeks ago. The one prior to that, it was Cori Bush a couple of weeks ago, and then it was Jamal Bowman prior to that.
Did you pull that from your memory, Tom?
Yeah, I did.
I almost saw you mentally straining to pull that from the back of your memory.
When was that exactly?
Nice
I don't know the
job.
exact date, but it was there.
Well done,
in the
sir.
time frame.
Well done.
Thank you.
I was ready to sing Another One Bites the Dust, but I'm going to have to hold back on my singing, and the audience will appreciate that.
Yeah, thank God.
Let's bring in Roshini Rashkumar, a political strategist and host of the Crisis Files podcast. Good morning, Roshini. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. Yep, that Tom, he is very sharp.
He's an amazing guy, isn't he?
I know. I had to just do. I had to just do the same thing. I had to pull from the back of my brain the name of your podcast, The Crisis Files, because I don't have it written down here. So
that one's ingrained in
We're
my.
both doing incredible mental gymnastics here this morning, and that is a great podcast, by the way. Check out Crisis Files. It's phenomenal, Roshini. Really love what you do there. What's going on in Minnesota? What's wrong with Minnesota? What's happening? Is this Tim Walz? We love Tim Walz, so we love her.
Well, that's a loaded question, especially to someone like me who's right down the middle. But I will tell you, and I don't even know if Laura knew this when she booked me. I know you all know I'm in Minnesota, but I live in the 5th congressional district.
Yeah.
So Ilhan Omar is my member of Congress. And prior to this election cycle, I lived in Minneapolis. In October of 2023, we moved not too far away to a suburb called Edina, and a small part of Edina is in the 5th district. So she continues to be my representative. And I was in a new polling place, though. My husband and I went out last evening. We actually went to the wrong place. They diverted us to a different spot. So that's how kind of new we are to where we are supposed to go and vote. But what I can tell you from just that anecdotal experience is even voting at 7 p.m., the lines were long at both the wrong place and the place where we finally voted. And they were telling us all day the lines had been long. So it's an interesting situation because last year, this is a rematch, as you know, last time, 2022, Samuels literally just squeaked by, losing by about 2,400 plus votes. So not a lot. And he really had a lackluster campaign 2 years ago. This year, his side is saying, we had a lot more, we had 100,000 calls out, we had all these supporters or volunteers, many, many more, like 1,200 compared with 100. But he still lost, and he lost more handily. But here's what I think the real difference is. According to Axios Twin Cities, Ilhan Omar spent $2.7 million on TV and digital ads compared with $185,000 from the Samuels campaign. So money does talk. So that is something that I can say. I will also say the Somali community in Minneapolis is one of the largest in the country, and it comes out strong for Ilhan Omar. There's definitely a lot of people who she's ticked off, and I'm not going to say which way I voted in the primary yesterday, but I will just give you sort of the feedback around here. I really did think, just putting on my analyst cap, that her stance against Israel might actually fuel Samuel's fire. But it turned out not to. And what Axios is reporting is some of the big national money didn't go into this race. They spent money on Bowman and Cori Bush's races.
Yeah, well, here in Michigan, most of Michigan thinks Rashida Tlaib is extremely progressive, but she's very popular in her district, so it sounds like it could be similar. Do you have so here in Michigan we can't cross vote. We have to pick our party, and you have to vote either all Republican or all Democrat. Do you do that way in Minnesota or no?
Yes, you have to go. Well, you walk in, you don't have to register one way or the other, because I can tell you if I had to do that, I wouldn't go. I used to not vote in primaries because I don't like to register as any party. But they give you a ballot, and one side of it has the Republican names, the other names. And on yesterday's ballot, there were only 2 offices for the 5th district. There's the whole overall U.S. Senate, which is currently held by Amy Klobuchar on the Democratic side, and then our 5th district. So those were the only 2 races that the 5th district had to vote in the primary yesterday. But when the guy hands you a ballot, in my case it was a guy, one side was Republican, one side was Democrat, and you can vote on either side, but they said you can't vote on both sides. So that's really how they did it here. But I'll tell you, this is proof that when we talk about the state of Minnesota, it is very different in the outstate areas, rural areas, compared with the city. The city of Minneapolis and the 5th district in general, the Republican Party basically doesn't have a chance in the 5th district, even though there are probably a good number of Republicans in the 5th district. So, whoever holds that 5th district seat, Ilhan Omar or some other Democrat, it's most likely going to be a Democrat.
Right.
Yeah. You go to places like St. Cloud and Alexandria, I guess, are probably much different than the Twin Cities. For sure there.
Yeah, Tom, way to pull out those Minnesota northern cities.
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
well, my mom
for
for some time and my brother for time lived in Alexandria, and we would drive by St. Cloud on the way there. And my brother currently lives in Plymouth in the Minneapolis suburbs. And so I'm curious about...
But he's a Padres fan, not a Twins fan.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm all over the country. So I want to ask you...
it real.
Yeah, exactly. This Amy Klobuchar... Senate race. You brought that up, and we weren't going to discuss it. But what is the popularity of the guy Royce White? And I know he won the Republican nomination yesterday for the U.S. Senate in that. So, but what chance does he have against Amy Klobuchar coming up in the general?
He probably has the best chance of anyone in the last time she's run. I mean, she pretty much has a lock on her seat. It's most likely really helped by all of the national attention she got when she tried running for president a few years back. But other things, on some of the hot topics, whether it's Supreme Court or other items, she's been very vocal. She's gotten a lot of airtime. And I've watched her grow just back when I was a TV reporter and she first won the county attorney position. I've watched her grow as a communicator. She used to be a lot more difficult to watch on TV. She's really smoothed things out, and she gets a lot of people out when she's rallied. So I will tell you, she handily won her Democratic primary yesterday. But Royce White, I mean, there's something here. It could be interesting because he's got some national money, and he's popular with a lot of people. So that's definitely one to watch.
Hey, I like
it. We only have 15 seconds left, but do you think that this decision will have any impact on how Kamala Harris and Tim Walz do?
No.
I mean, that was less than 15 seconds.
Go ahead, take another 5.
I tried. Yeah. Well, I mean, it will be interesting, but she is Tim Walz, and it just confirms when I told you the other day, Tim Walz is not a moderate. He's definitely to the left, just as Ilhan Omar is.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, next time my wife and I are in Edina, we'll look you up. Roshini Rajkumar.
15 minutes away from Plymouth. I'd love
Yes,
to have
not
lunch.
far. It's just down the road. Roshini Rajkumar, political strategist, host of the Crisis Files podcast. Roshini, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.